expanding your influence. One of the things that I've seen talked about, this was, I think, Abbas Badani at Penn State, says, are you adding customers and new jobs? He said, it's death if you're not getting new customers or new jobs because attrition is happening. There was a statistic yesterday that commercial printers lose a pretty high percentage of their customers. It's not probably nearly as high with an implant because you have the benefit of a captive audience, but there's also a downside too, because if you're losing customers, you can't just go get more because your organization is not probably growing that fast. So, again, finding out who's ordering and why, and who's not and why not, and kind of getting to the bottom of that. Surveying, you can do some automated surveys with workflow software. There's different kinds of surveys you can do. You can do what's called a transactional survey, so like after every order you can do it. Some people do an annual survey, which I think is too long to go because if you have issues, you're not going to know about them for as long as 11 months. It's helpful if you can do it in an automated fashion, and then use those as your little testimonials and case studies with the happy customers. And of course, the people that aren't happy, you definitely want to follow up. I mean, don't do it unless you're going to follow up and take some action, because then it's just going to make people unhappy. Why'd you ask me if you didn't take any corrective action? There's, again, I mentioned some things out there with associations where they have surveys and data and some sample surveys that you can use. Adding modules and capabilities will help you expand your reach and your influence. Again, if you add variable data, well, now you can do all sorts of things. These guys added book building. Now there's some stuff that they can do that they couldn't before. So all ways to kind of just keep sort of like Jabba the Hutt, spreading yourself out. Finding sources of print that aren't coming to your organization. That's an interesting one. UCLA has been particularly good at this, and there's lots of other examples, but I'll pick on them for the moment. They started out as transactional. They had some things coming from the data center, so explanation of benefits, bills, that kind of stuff. And they also had an implant. And then as things started to shift over time, there was some billing that was done externally through an HRIS. Or not HRIS, I'm trying to remember the name of the system. It's a medical billing system. Some data center printing kind of changed a little. They basically have said anything that should be printed, we want to own that. So they use all sorts of different workflow tools. And if somebody wants a report, whether it's from the university or they've got actually a fairly large healthcare system, they print it. And they use tools to figure out how to make that happen. So capturing all those sources of print is a great way to grow your business and relevancy, and particularly with somebody like that who's got HIPAA regulations. You want to keep all that in one place if you can. And then an outward focus. I'm happy to see that you guys do that. Really get out and spend some time. It's been talked about before about spending time on committees, and I know everybody's stretched, but it's really kind of puts you at the front of the process so they think about you. And they might not have thought of a capability that you have or a way that you can help, especially if you have a mail operation as well, because you could then print and mail and save them money that they might not have been able to do otherwise by using an outside vendor. Becoming a trusted advisor, again, that's about relationship and people building and delivering on what you say you will, so that over time you're trusted as a resource. Don't leave sales to chance. Howie Fenton just is in the process of doing a study, and he blogged for us last week. And he was pretty startled to find out that a lot of implants don't have someone specifically designated for sales. And I know operations are not really, really large. This was specific to bringing business in, and I know a lot of people can't actually insource. And that's different than bringing work back inside that was yours to begin with. It's trying to get work from other entities. But I think not leaving it to chance, making it part of somebody's job, whether it's yours or somebody else, I think helps because if there's no attention put on it, it's probably not going to happen. Helping customers be successful, I mentioned that earlier. There's a lot of different ways that can happen. Events, mentioned that. Again, that's sort of an outward focus.